Hi there and welcome to Book Ramble. Lucy, back here again.
It's me.
By popular demand, thanks to
By
Philip.
one person.
So Philip said, he's looking forward to having Lucy talk. Well, she's back. And it's about this, as well as Jane Austen generally. So I've done a couple of videos and I've just put up the one about Volume 1. And it talks about the fact that it's really the Bennets. It's Mr. and Mrs. Bennet. It starts with them and ends with them. And then it's all about the contractual side of marriage. That as soon as Lizzie turns down Mr. Collins, he goes off and instantly gets Charlotte Lucas.
Yeah.
Do you think I got that right? About the contractual side rather than for love?
Yeah. He basically said it's to appease Lady Catherine de Bourgh. And as a clergyman, to say to his parishioners that I'm in a marriage, I can speak with authority on how to have life, I guess. Charlotte Lucas wants an establishment. She might be, I'm diagnosing everyone, asexual.
Okay.
Because she said that she doesn't really care about men or matrimony.
So why does she need to get married?
Because it's the only way for a respectable woman to get her own establishment.
Yeah. So what does it say then that Elizabeth turned him down? Why is she different?
Because she has her own mind and she knows that they wouldn't make each other happy. And I think it helps that her parents are not in an equal partnership and she doesn't want that for herself.
Oh, interesting. I didn't pick up on that.
More like her dad, and her dad had to suffer through the mother's nerves.
Yeah.
It's been that way for 23 years.
Let's talk about the characters, though. So the one that struck me more than anything, is probably because I'm a man reading it, was Mr. Bennet.
Yeah.
Because he comes over as a very wry and almost needling man. So it starts off where Mrs. Bennet's talking about, there's this person in the area and blah, blah, blah. And he makes out he knows nothing about it. And then the very next chapter is off to see them because he'd already arranged
Yeah, but that's his entertainment, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think he likes being that sort of character.
But do you think that these archetypes of Jane Austen would have saw and then was able to put them into characters?
Yeah.
Do you think that's why she may have done it anonymously, apart from the fact that she was a woman?
Well, I don't know. I can't really speak on authority with that. Why she published anonymously was probably because she was a woman. I mean, she wasn't that rich, was she?
No, they're not the mega rich. I mean, this is the thing as well. Rich then is different to what rich is now. I think you can still visit the house, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it in Hertfordshire or South?
Oh, I don't know.
Because the book's set in Hertfordshire.
A lot of the... I'm pretty sure that Emma was as well, wasn't it? Highbury, but I thought that was kind of nearish.
So those who don't know Hertfordshire, it's just north of London, but it's near enough that you can get there on a horse and coach probably within half a day. So it's near the main hub of things happening, but it's just slightly outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she would have been the same, but wherever it was. Okay. She does very well. A beautifully written language, obviously, and she's very observant. The Bennets. What motivates the mother apart from wanting to marry them off?
Austen described her as her purpose in life was to see her daughters married. Her solace was information and news or something.
When they're at the ball, she quickly sours on Darcy.
Everyone does.
Yeah, everyone does. But you'd have thought that because she's desperate to...
No, well, because she slighted the daughter, Elizabeth.
Right.
He slighted.
So this is like the mother hen kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What about Darcy then? Did I get him right? Is he autistic?
No, I said that.
I know you did.
I'm rereading it now, and I'm exactly where you are, volume 1. I've just finished it. I don't think he is. I still stand by that the 2005 of Matthew McFadden, they didn't get his character right at all.
Oh.
They played him off as shy. He's not shy. He's very much, he knows exactly what he's doing. I mean, he says, the Meryton Assembly with Bingley, and he's like, I haven't met with, like, prettier people in my life. And then he was like, to stand up with them would be insupportable. Like, he sees little fashion. She says, like, he doesn't see anything of worth in the county.
But is he an arrogant prick then?
A little bit. Yeah. He confuses me a bit because he's very amiable with his friends, as we see later on, which you haven't got to yet. But he can be a bit of a snob.
But the whole idea is to set him up as quite unlikable. But then it's how is that changed over the course of the book, isn't it?
Yeah, but Elizabeth, she's pretty judgmental. And she says that because Jane is not judgmental. Elizabeth is.
Hmm.
But then again, reading the book, I would be the same as her.
In what way?
Well, I would judge him too. I wouldn't be that pleased with him.
Women judging men? No, surely not.
Men don't do it. Men rank women. Women find men rank. Yeah.
As well put. You've learned a lot, haven't you?
I haven't learnt from you.
Let's talk about her then. Let's talk about Elizabeth, because I don't think she's actually mentioned much in I didn't get this presence that she's there much in Volume 1.
In what way?
Well, Jane, because she goes over and gets ill, and she has to go over. And then there's Charlotte Lucas, and then there's the mother. They almost, if not necessarily equal in the amount of words that are given to them, they certainly in the forefront, in my mind, a lot more. I would imagine as it gets into Volume 2 and 3, it's going to change.
Yeah.
But at the end of Volume 1, if that was the first thing I've read, I'd think, okay, what have I learnt then? What's this telling me? It tells me that women are desperate to get married off. I think that, well, is that the same still in some countries? Possibly. They have to get married to secure their futures. They are literally waiting for the right person to come into their area. Because let's be honest, there's not that many men around. No. And therefore, the perpetual waiting game. But then when she gets this golden opportunity, Elizabeth turns it down. Mr. Collins. I can see why she would turn down Mr. Collins. But what am I learning from it then? That brave woman, good luck. Because I wouldn't know what's coming up in Volume 2.
Maybe Elizabeth thought that maybe Jane would get married at that point. Because everyone thought that she'll get married to Bingley. So I can turn down this Mr. Collins. If Bingley had left before Mr. Collins proposed, I don't know if that would have changed. But I still think she would have said no. Right. But I don't understand is reading, because I do know later on when she meets Lady Catherine
de
Bourgh, Lady Catherine asks, like, where was she educated, kind of. And she said that the mum educated all the daughters.
Oh, right, yeah.
If that's the case, why are Jane and Elizabeth so genteel and, like, improved in mind, and yet the younger ones completely not? And, like, wouldn't they be more like the mother then if they had the sole influence of the mother the whole time? I guess the dad would have been there, Mr. Bennet. But I just feel like their understanding is much more advanced than the other three.
Was Jane sent off to school? Jane Austen?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. I'm not sure.
I'll have to look up that. Don't know the answer to that. If you do, please comment. It is interesting the world in which it's pictured, isn't it? And for me, the standout character, apart from Mr. Bennet, is Mr. Collins, and he is young.
He's about 23, isn't he?
That's not 24. The case in any of the productions.
Yeah, but Bingley would be only 20, or maybe 23. Depends what of age was back then. Was it 18 or 21?
What do you mean?
Well, because it says that Bingley had not been of age 2 years before he went to Netherfield.
Oh, good question. I think it's different for men and women. If women become of age at 16, I'm not sure if it was the same for men. Could probably been the same, or 18.
It would have all been young.
Yeah. Well, they're young because in teaching, if I think of the equivalent of 16, 17, 18-year-olds, especially men in this era, and I think it's very much different, because when I left school at 16, you're expected to leave around about 15 and 16 and get a job. Now we're keeping them to 18. We're almost delaying the development of adulthood, the children. There's an argument to say that we are retarding the development of adulthood by 2 years. And if I come across like 17, 18-year-olds at school, incredibly immature.
Yeah.
So this is the same
Well, they
age.
need a good war to shake them up.
Good war, good beating.
Who was that? Wasn't that from Casino Royale? God, I missed the war. Wasn't that M? Judi Dench. When is it? Who's being Bond think he is blowing up a whole embassy or something?
Oh
like
yeah,
that? God,
yeah. Oh, that might have been Skyfall.
No, that's the first one.
I can't remember.
Casino Royale.
Yeah, fair enough. And it's true. It's like, but this is the age that they are. That might explain actually the likes of Darcy.
Darcy would have been 26, around there, if I'm not mistaken.
Bingley
would have been about 23 or maybe 22.
All right. Okay.
Jane was 23. Elizabeth was 21.
Right.
And then Mary would have been like, what, 19?
21 though. I mean, it's still quite young.
It's very young. That's probably why she is the way she is.
All
why
of
she
them.
doesn't mind rejecting. And plus she had Wickham, and maybe Wickham's fancy was a little bit like, why she...
So emotionally, how old is Mrs. Bennet?
Emotionally? She had a husband who is well read, clearly. She could have improved her mind likewise. I mean, she had £4,000 from her father because
She's not spent that though, is it? Because they still say
is that the
4,000.
dowry?
The dowry, yeah.
Yeah, and she was beautiful.
Well, is she
But
still
this
not?
is-
She still is, isn't she?
Well, Mr. Bingley might like her best of the party. Clearly not. Anyway, I think it's a warning, and I said this, I think, originally when we first started talking about this, is that Mr. Bennet went for her because of the looks.
I'm shocked. I thought it was because she was been erudite and full of love.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's what Jane Austen's almost kind of warning you against. It's like when Charlotte says, oh, she almost kind of like contradicts it. So you got someone, Mr. Bennet, who went into the marriage not understanding Mrs. Bennet, who she truly is. So they're incompatible. And you got Charlotte, who knows all the stuff about Mr. Collins and how annoying he is. And yet it's like, you got to know as little of the defects of your marriage partner as possible. And that's why she sends him out all the time in Volume 2. Constantly in the shrubbery with the pigs or something. And she's like sitting there like, don't touch me.
I've come to that yet. So Mr. Collins is a standout character because I don't know how to describe him. I'm more sure with Darcy because he comes over as an idiot at times. You know,
What?
The way he sits there, and there's this moment I talk about the three-way thing between him.
Yeah.
And they said,
Miss
"Oh
Bingley
yeah,
and-
yeah, you said this, and that's because."
No, they're having banter.
That's not banter.
It is.
Oh, you think it's playful banter?
Yeah.
I never picked that up. What, between Darcy and Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Even then?
Yeah. Well, Elizabeth doesn't think so. But then it is though. It is playful banter.
Oh, you think it's been sarcastic?
Are we talking about the same thing? Miss Bingley's like an accomplished woman. Da, 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 da. We're talking about that one.
No, it's where
Or is it about Bingley when they're talking about how
there's three of them together, and he goes off on one.
Yeah. It's all about and she goes, oh, do you see pride as a folly or virtue or something like that?
Yeah, I'm going to find it now. Keep talking.
Pride will always be in good contempt. And then they're bantering back and forth on that, and she's basically trying to find a reason to laugh at him. And I think she's saying, "Oh, are you perfect then? Are you?" And then he's kind of like, "No."
I can't find it now.
He-
You can never find it when you want it.
Darcy doesn't pretend. He doesn't like pretending. He hates it. He hates false pretenses, and this is why Elizabeth's so refreshing because she gives her opinion very decidedly for so young a person. The Berg says, and he's like, "Oh," because would be used to Miss Bingley types who would say whatever she can to like fanny up his ego, and he's like, "What?" But Elizabeth doesn't. She has that kind of intellectual banter, and he's like, "Oh, sure."
Oh, that's interesting because I didn't read that into that scene. It's interesting that you have, and again, that's the beauty of this type of conversation. You can read the same thing and you'll understand it differently. In fact, I've got here Mr. Collins. The stupidity with which he was favoured by nature must guard his courtship from any charm that can make a woman wish for its continuance. But Miss Lucas accepted him.
Yeah. Yeah, because Mr. Collins was educated, but barely. She said he basically scraped the barrel of the bottom because he went to university or whatever it was back then. But, like, he just passed by. And then because he got favoured with Mr. Berg, fannies up his ego a bit, doesn't it? And he goes around thinking he's the best because he's a clergyman. And then he basically says to Elizabeth, because he walks up to Darcy about any introduction, which is like, it's a social sin. You don't do that.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, he does that. Yeah, there is that scene, isn't it?
And then he goes, but I'm a clergyman, which puts me above or equal rank to Darcy in his mind. So he can do it. Well, Darcy's like, what the hell's that?
What's the relevance today then? Because if you strip it out of the historical context, why is it still popular?
I think I talked about it originally. Because Mr. Darcy listens to Elizabeth's advice, improves it when she's not even around, and they may not even meet again. But he proves himself. She changes her view, and I think because they grow together, and that's nice to see rather than I'm going to change everything about myself to fit what you want. And also, don't go for an idiot. I don't know.
Well, Collins.
Well, yeah, but she thinks that Charlotte's a bit of a simpleton for doing that. I don't know. It depends, isn't it? I think I don't blame Charlotte for doing what she did because to her, it's easy. I think she described it.
But you wouldn't recommend that now, though, would you?
Well, it's different now because women are equal. Well, maybe not in the pay bracket. Not in New Zealand.
Not in New Zealand. Not anywhere anymore. They were stripping that back. Yeah.
But women are more independent. We don't have dowries anymore. So do I have a dowry that I don't know about?
Not from me. That's interesting because I've always wondered why it's still very, very popular. And not just with women. In fact, I've come across a website where people are talking about the book, and it's nearly all men.
Is it?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in media. They love reading it. They did a book. There's a book, actually. We just come back from Matakana. And there's a book there that talks about men, why they read Jane Austen. So it is a thing.
Did I say why they read it?
I only quickly skimmed through it. Perhaps I should have bought it.
Skip to the end?
Skip to the end. So, yeah, it's an interesting book. I'm going to be interested to see how it develops in Volume 2.
It does develop a lot. You need to read Volume 2.
Well, I will, but then again, I've got so many other books.
Well, make that a priority.
Priority. This was a priority. We got together quick on this, didn't we?
Yeah, well, I
Philip.
got to appease Philip.
Yes.
I'm sure he regrets it now. You mentioned the fashion.
Yeah, the fact. Now, what do you think about that?
That is more interesting because we do see it as like the empire.
A line.
But what did you? I wasn't really. I listened, but I didn't watch the actual.
You did not soak it in. So she wrote this in the late 1790s.
Is it more Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yes.
Okay, that's my font.
Although that's the mid 1700s. It hasn't really changed. What radically altered. And what's interesting is that a lot of the fashions were repeating the fashions of the Napoleonic court, who were the enemy. Now, she never mentions the Napoleonic...
She does later on.
Later on. Oh, does she?
I think so, with the militia.
Oh, right. Okay.
Maybe.
Because Britain was at war from 1793.
Yeah.
When she wrote this, it would have been 5 or 6 years of war. The clothes and the morality changed by the time it got... Do we know why it was delayed printed?
Look, I think she had to find someone who actually would print it. Or maybe she didn't release it.
Because Sense and Sensibility came out first. Did it not?
Well, maybe she put it to the side and thought, right, I'm going to do another one.
So the late 1790s, the women would have looked markedly different because of just the silhouette of what they were wearing. But the men especially, it would have been a lot more tighter round here. Wigs. Now that alters things. Especially,
In what way?
Well, because it's a lot more formal. I remember somebody did a production of that era, and they said that what it does, it makes you stand up.
Yeah.
All their clothes, it's very difficult to bend over.
A bit more peacocky, isn't it?
Yeah, and they probably would have had beauty
Beauty marks,
spots and stuff like that. And that changed. It fell out of fashion quite quickly, especially with the wig. And I can understand because it's really itchy. And I wonder if a lot of it is to do with the fact that because of the war, people were predominantly men leaving a coldish climate and increasingly going out to a warm climate where you don't want to be wearing a wig because of the war. That altered the fashion and that changed the sense of morality. You were no longer so much on show.
Yeah.
Also cost, because some of the clothes in the late 1790s were ruinously expensive. But when you consider what they're wearing, dark, less cut, there's probably less buttons, it may have been because of the war.
Probably.
Yeah. But does it alter the way in which we see the characters?
Not for me.
No.
Although, I can't imagine Darcy in a wig. I don't like that.
But he would have been.
Yeah, but...
And Bingley.
Yeah, but then you lose that kind of, when he comes out of the water and he's all dishevelled. That is in the book.
Your wig is wet.
You keep...
Hang on.
Turns out Mr. Darcy's bald. Oh, well.
That's another thing. What if he was ugly?
But he's not.
Yeah, but what if he was?
Then we wouldn't have a story, would we?
Really?
No, be Mr. Hersey kind of vibe.
If he was arrogant, ignorant, and upsetting, and grossly ugly, wouldn't have a story, would we?
No.
Oh, right. Okay. That explains a lot then. So, apart from that, anything else? I put Lucy on the spot here because I said, let's record this. And
I listened to his video in 2 times speed, as I always do with videos.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I bet I sound just as good on 2 times speed as I do on...
No, still slow.
Thanks. Pride and Prejudice. I'm really enjoying it. It does surprise me. It has surprised me. Fun enough, it gives me hope that these lists that I always shun, that say these are the books you should be reading in the 19th century, because this has proven to be, actually, I was wrong, gives me hope for others. But my final point, I'm not sure if you'll be able to answer this. At the time this was written, nothing was written like this.
I don't know.
A lot more florid language. You had like William Hazlitt and those kind of people. We're starting to see the rise of Romanticism. This is so unlike that. It's very modern, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, that's true. It's easier to digest, probably why it's so popular.
Why it's stayed the test of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But people like a good bantery back and forth. And she makes the women not unintelligent.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah. And also with Elizabeth saying, I'm not dependent on you.
Yeah, Elizabeth's an interesting one, isn't she? Jane, very unrealistic in my opinion. Because she thinks everyone is amazing. And she's beautiful, she has grace, elegance.
She's an earth angel.
Basically, which is high standard indeed. And Elizabeth is always second to her, but Elizabeth doesn't care. And she knows that Jane is like the model to be like, but Elizabeth also knows that she's not like that at all. She judges. But
Interesting.
it's kind of like, I'm not sure.
So Elizabeth is your favourite character?
In the book,
Yeah.
it's weird, isn't it? Because everyone thinks that they're Elizabeth, and then turns out when I was reading it, I feel like, my God, I'm more like Lydia.
Oh, right.
I'm
okay.
more like Lydia or Miss Bingley. I thought, blimmin'.
What, on the piano?
No, that's Mary.
Oh, what's Lydia again?
Lydia's a younger one who's been in all that, the offices and all that.
Oh, the...
Oh, I'm not afraid.
Who played her in the thing? Sarwala?
Julia
Sarwala?
in Abfab. Eh?
Yeah, her.
Complete different characters. Though.
Yeah, she goes off, doesn't she? Yeah.
Wickham. I wouldn't go off with Wickham though.
Yeah.
She's a young'un she's like 15 years old with a hot guy who's like, hey baby, let's get married. I mean, she's
this is the thing, right? She goes off with Wickham,
Yeah.
right? And Collins, as soon as you don't get Elizabeth, he doesn't get. He's off with someone else. They're off all around with each other. They're banging around like
but
the
that's
plagues in town.
well, yeah, because Collins didn't actually like Elizabeth. He fantasized that he was doing the noble thing with marrying within the family that he was going to inherit, the estate, and Mr. Bennet and his dad had a disagreement, so he thought that he was doing like killing two birds with one stone. He didn't actually like any of them. He didn't. I don't even think he likes Charlotte. It's just another amiable woman for him to bring home, tick off the list. I've managed to please my lady or something.
Now that fits in with the era in which it was
Yeah.
originally written, but I can't see that by the time you get to when it's actually people think it's set in 1813.
No, maybe not. Well, maybe no. Yeah, I'm sure. Lydia's 15 and like has never been told to shut up by her mum because her mum's like, oh, I see myself in Lydia.
Right.
She's boisterous, and then so when I think Wickham did it as some sort of like weird revenge or something. I can't remember why I thought that. I can't remember I might be wrong with this, but I think Elizabeth goes to see Charlotte, meets Darcy, learns about what Darcy and Wickham have going on, comes back, sees Wickham, says something to him that makes Wickham go, oh shit, she knows about the actual truth, the situation, which I won't spoil for you, but I know you already know. And then he goes off with Lydia, which I always thought was a bit of a weird... Why would he involve himself willingly in ruining the family? It must be because Elizabeth knows the truth or something. It's like some sort of thing.
Revenge?
Yeah, maybe. And I always try... Unless I'm remembering it wrong, I've got to read it. I can't remember the sequence of events.
It's typical in which an author will create a world with people and everything happens to those people. There's no going out of the frame because the characters, they're contained, they're all going into... mixed with each other, aren't they?
Well, there's two motives. One I just mentioned, or either it's because Elizabeth knows, he must think that old Darcy must like her enough to tell her something that is so scandalous because Wickham tries to go off with Miss Darcy, which is patched up and like all hush hush. It never happened. So he fails, but he succeeds with Lydia. But Wickham must have thought, oh, so he must like Elizabeth then, if he's telling her that. Right. Well, I'll just ruin her family then. And then ruin any chance that Darcy could marry happily.
Yeah, spite. Right? Yeah, spite. Yeah.
That never gets talked about.
Why is that?
I don't know. I don't think people can make the connection. Or if they do, then they don't show up in any of the options. I'm trying to figure out what his reasoning was for touching Lydia.
So you're reading it again for how many times is this now? Because I could read Lord of the Rings or Centennial after probably reading it.
Isn't it like 50 years of reading? Wow.
Yes.
It takes so long.
And I get different things out of it all the time.
Yeah.
So you're probably getting something new. Yeah. Benefits of slow reading. Although I should have read it slower because, again, and this is the thing about this volume, there's a lot of things happening strangely, especially with the sisters. In my mind, the sisters aren't fully formed yet in the first volume.
Yeah.
Like I say, Elizabeth is slightly there. I get more to do with Jane, mainly because of the two women that are gossiping about her, Mrs. Hurst and Miss Bingley. They're like slagging her off when she's out of the room. But the other two younger sisters, I haven't really got my head around yet. They haven't formed in my mind.
Because not really, Kitty and everyone forgets about Mary. They're not supposed to be. They're supposed to be the background ones. Got no. They got literally. She said literally that all they care about is officers and news. That's it. I mean, they're young. They have 2 older sisters who are described as beautiful, and everyone likes them. You know what they're gonna do?
Would you like to have had more about them?
No.
Their own.
No, because I know in the end, Kitty improves with living with Mr. Darcy.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth.
Final thing then that I'd like to say, and this is going to come up probably if we do a retrospective at the end, and this is a Shakespearean thing. In a play, you look at the start of the play with characters and how they develop by the end. There's always this evolution of the character, everyone. Do you get that with this?
What, that everyone evolves?
Everyone evolves? No.
Miss Bingley doesn't.
Right.
Mrs. Hurst doesn't. Mr. Hurst doesn't. Miss Bennet doesn't. Even with marrying everyone off, not everyone, but the principal one's off, she still remains the same.
Right.
Mr. Bennet doesn't. I don't know. Probably the only ones are Mr. Darcy.
Yeah. So it's the main characters that we focus on.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay. Is it your favourite book of hers?
No.
Because you've been reading others, haven't you?
Emma's always going to be my favourite.
Right.
Because I like Mr.
Interfering
Knightley.
Emma.
No, she's not even that interfering. I hate this.
She's setting people up all
Nan
the time.
says this, that, oh, she's a busybody nobody or whatever. And I was like, you don't understand.
Do you see yourself as Emma?
Well, I can't say that I'm rich or beautiful, so no, I wouldn't say that.
No. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, you're supposed to contradict that and be like, oh my god, you're so beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I say that off air, probably. Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, I look like you, so you're just calling yourself ugly.
Yeah, it's interesting what we see in characters, isn't it? And that's the beauty of such high quality work. And I will say, I'm very impressed with the way it's written. And that for a 19-year-old to write this, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, but I mean, Mary Shelley was young.
Yes, but she was in a set. Her mother, Mary Wollstonecraft, was although she wouldn't know, she died in childhood, so that's ruined that analogy. She was around a set of people who were very erudite.
What, Shelley?
Eventually. And she got to know a lot of the high set at that time.
Byron.
Yeah. So that would have had an effect. But she must have had innate qualities.
Oh, yeah. The ones I think I hate I think I'm going to revisit is the Bronte sisters. I naturally hate them. Just because, that they're from the north and miserable.
You can't blame them for that.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I'm being prejudiced there, but I'm saying I want to revisit their works to see.
I must admit, Wuthering Heights, and I'm going to revisit it because Virginia Woolf reckoned Emily, who wrote Wuthering Heights,
the younger ones,
and Jane Austen were the only 2 women in 100 years of the 19th century that wrote as women should have, with no thinking of the male-dominated audience.
Who wrote Jane Eyre? Who was that one? Was
that was
Charlotte? I don't think she wrote with the male gaze, is she?
I don't know.
Because Jane Bennet is... not Jane Bennet. They're all called Jane. Jane Eyre... It's described as plain and a bit boring.
Well, she has the Mad Woman in the Attic, which became a trope, which Virginia talks about. That's just a way of putting down women, and that a woman wrote that.
Oh, that's true. And she did kind of write Rochester as like this great guy.
Yeah.
Even though it seems like a bit in my mind.
It was a control of women. But what was brilliant about the Mad Woman in the Attic, and I'm going to have to do it again, is Wide Sargasso Sea, that came much later, that gave the backstory to her. And humanises that character a lot more.
Turns out she was just Spanish, not mad at all. Was she Spanish?
No, she's I've got to remember. I think it's Guadalupe.
Oh, well, a bit zesty.
She was definitely exotic.
Yeah,
and she has to move from island to island. I think she starts in Jamaica. Anyway, thank you, Lucy. Just to catch up, and thanks to Philip for the suggestion. And I'll have to bring you back occasionally, and other books that you're reading, because I know you're.
I don't read.
You don't read much.
I don't know how to read. She didn't taught me anything.
No. Kept her in the attic for a while. Cupboards over there. That's where she lives.
We still are in the attic.
You going to say goodbye then, or shall I?
Goodbye.
Ta-ta for now.